Okay, so you've watched the whole series of your favorite TV show for like the 10th time, and you're running out of ideas on what to do to pass the time now. Maybe you're tired of board games, or you want to do something more virtual. You want to keep your brain thinking and trying to be creative so it's not mush when this whole quarantine thing is over. Have you thought about RPGs? Now, you're probably immediately thinking of a video game like The Witcher or an Elder Scrolls game, or maybe you thought more of Dungeons and Dragons. Well, this is not any of those games. However, this is one of the easiest pen and paper RPGs to get into. It's called Fate, but more specifically, Fate Accelerated. Now, before we continue, please understand that this is a quarantine episode. Game On is trying to put out more content, but getting together is not easy because we know how to follow the rules. Yeah. This is going to be relevant after all the craziness in the world is over. But for right now, if you plan on picking up this very inexpensive game, link in the description, please either play it virtually over Discord with friends, or if you're already stuck in the house with family, do everything you can to keep things clean. One more thing, I'm not in my normal recording spot, but in a city with lots of barking dogs. So if there's some background noise, I apologize in advance. Now let's get started. So Fate is a pen and paper RPG. Technically not if you're playing on a virtual tabletop or over a video conference, but it's not D&D. Fate Accelerated is a game I use to teach people how to play an RPG if they are too overwhelmed by the idea of D&D. This video is designed to help people either completely new to RPGs or new to Fate figure out if they would enjoy it. So what is a pen and paper RPG? It's a game where people come together to tell a story of their character in a world the game master has set up for them. Traditionally, it's done in person around a table, but due to social distancing and more people into gaming in general, it can also be done on a virtual tabletop like Astral shown here, or in like a video chat. The difference between an RPG and a campfire story, however, is that you don't have a certainty that your character will succeed at doing something. In a book, a character is already put on the path predetermined by the author, and it will always happen. However, in a choose your own adventure story, you get to choose how that character progresses. In a choose your own adventure story, you may only have three choices that will always be the same every time you read it. In an RPG, you describe what your character is trying to accomplish, and dice rolls affect the outcome. So imagine a choose your own adventure story, but every time you read it, the outcome can and probably will be different. So why would we want to use Fate Accelerated as our first RPG game? Well, again, maybe Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, or Dungeon Crawl Classics just looks like you're biting off more than you can chew. Fit Accelerated is everything you need to learn the game and run the game in less than 40 pages. And these pages are small half pages with big font and lots of pictures. So, just to get a refresher on the game, I reread the book and I finished it in about 20 minutes. The first time you read it, it may take a little longer, but you get the idea. It's not a huge, expansive, multiple hundred page tome of rules. It's what they call a rules light game. Right, so let's get the basics and you'll understand why it's an easier game to pick up than you might think. Welcome to the Fate Accelerated character sheet. This is a full page, but the ones that come in the book are actually half pages. I'm pulling up a character I made on an online character sheet in case you don't want to use a real pen and paper or you're trying to play it off your computer. There will be a link in the description to this website. Now, this isn't a video designed to break down every rule. I just wanted to give you the main idea behind how to play the game and how you can learn it quickly. So you'll see I named my character Falnor Toblin. I made him up in 2 minutes for a fictional world I just kinda cooked up in my head. He's a master space mechanic and a space elf. Obviously, characters are setting dependent, but luckily this is what they call a system agnostic rule settings. So you can play this game in the Wild West space or a medieval world and everything in between. Once you know what your setting is, that is, once the game master, the one who's in charge of the world and the bad guys and all the people that you're not playing, you can create a high concept for your character. Now, the book gives you great examples, and mine here is Master Space Mechanic. But of course, no character would be fun without a flaw or a trouble. So, Falnor's is that the Empire is trying to seek his knowledge and do bad things with what he knows. Again, he's a good guy, he doesn't want that. I also threw in another aspect that he can talk into and out of trouble a lot. Han Solo kind of got me into that one. Again, I made this character off the top of my head in about 2 minutes, but please feel free to take longer to figure out who your character actually is. And now we can actually move on to the mechanics of the game, and you can look at those approaches on the side of the character sheet. Can you name a good story without any conflict? All the great ones have at least some. Jason and the Argonauts, the Avengers, James Bond, all have some sort of conflict. It's what keeps it exciting. Now, the game allows you to use your imagination to solve problems presented to you in the game world. The aspects of your character help you consider how exactly to tackle that specific problem. Now is a great time to discuss the fate or fudge die. It may seem complicated, but once you start doing it, it'll make sense. So let's assume that you don't have any fudge dice and you're using your Yahtzee dice. Each die number corresponds to a plus or minus or a blank. Remember back to math class and try to remember that negatives and positives cancel each other out. Basically, the total outcome is what is more, the more positives or the more negatives. So let's say that Toril wanted to be sneaky around some Empire space troopers so he doesn't get caught. He wants to get to safety. Let's roll some dice on a virtual dice roller and see what happens. Oof. Okay, Falnor rolled 3 negatives and a blank. So far, he's at -3, but he does have a +1 in sneak. It still happens to be a -2, which is still a pretty bad failure, so he does get caught. Now let's do it again, but this time he's going to be clever and pull an exposed pipe from the wall and create a distraction. Oh, looks like it does a little bit better here. 2 negatives, a blank, and a positive. The positive cancels one negative, but he has another. But remember, Falnor was doing this cleverly, so he gets to add his +2, which gives him a net positive of 1. It may not be the prettiest success, but he is able to sneak by the Empire space troopers and get to safety. So if Felnor was forced to fight these Empire soldiers, he can do 4 things. I won't get too much into them, but you can kind of read them up on the screen. He can either create an advantage for his teammates, he can overcome something by getting across what is physically between he and where he wants to go. He can attack or he can defend when it comes to fighting the bad guys. The book even has some bad guys made, so if you're concerned about making bad guys, there are a few examples in the book you can reskin to make whatever baddie you want. Using your aspects to create an advantage, overcome attacks, and defend is the main mechanic of this game. And again, you're using those dice to create the outcome, just kind of like how I demonstrated it with the sneaking and the cleverness. However, this game is called Fate, and you have some ways to create your own fate. If you wish, you can use a fate point to do something really cool, and maybe to add 2 successes to a roll, or maybe to make an enemy jam his phaser pistol while reloading. It also allows you to perform stunts, which Falnor has as adding a +2 to space mechanics because he's really good at it. You don't have an unlimited number of these things though, so usually 2 or 3, but you can get more by playing your character's flaws or by doing something that may hurt the group's chances of success, but makes for a better, cooler story. Just remember that when you use fate points, you are giving the game master and ultimately the bad guys an extra fate point, so it's kind of a give and take, which is really fun. Finally, we can talk about stresses and consequences. We don't really have hit points per se, but we do keep track of our health via stress and injuries are known as consequences in this game. Depending on how much damage you take, like if you're hit on the shoulder with a wiffle ball bat, as opposed to like being shot, there's different amounts of points that you can allocate into either the 3 stress boxes or on purpose take a creative consequence. See, Falnor, as you can see, got hit by one of the Empire space troopers' stun batons when he was trying to sneak and he failed, and he took 3 damage. But he decided that because he wasn't wearing armor or anything protective, he took all of it. And instead of giving himself 3 stress, he decided to check 1 stress and give himself 2 damage in a minor consequence. See how it's 2, 4, and 6, so you can take more damage there. If everything is filled, you get knocked out. Well, I said that this wasn't going to be a very in-depth look, but it kind of was. I went over most of the rules in such a way that reading the book only gives a little bit more detail on it. The back has some quick references and pre-built characters, so you can start immediately. Now all you really need to do is pick who will be the game master. And if you want to learn about being a good game master, you can always watch our other videos as well as some great stuff online by Seth Skorkowski, WebDM, Roll Stats, and countless of others. But we thank you guys for watching, and know that this game is currently pay what you want on DriveThruRPG. I picked it up for $2.50. Yes, I have the book, but I decided to pick it up for $2.50 online. That was the suggested price. If you use our link in the description, it'll give us a little back with no extra cost to you, so it's a win-win. So hopefully this piqued your interest into RPGs, or if you're already into them, a new simple game that you can pick up and have fun with in less than an hour. Anyway, we thank you guys for watching, and remember to stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, and game on.